I've now played every Life is Strange game, and they have ranged from being completely awesome borderline masterpieces, in my opinion, like 1 and 2, to being all the way down to like not really being interesting to me at all, like Before the Storm. I didn't think Before the Storm was... I thought it was fine, it just wasn't as interesting to me because it didn't have like the supernatural element and yada yada. And everywhere in between, like True Colors, which is kind of a mess of both of those good highs and lows. I think this one excels in a few ways. I think the story in this one is the best story. And that's even better than Life is Strange 2, which is saying something, because that had an awesome story. I think the story in this one's very different. It's a lot weirder. I think this one gets weirder and crazier than any of the games, for sure. The original Life is Strange gets really crazy in a certain way. This one's crazy in a much just off the wall kind of a way. The story is really crazy. And in a good way. It's tough to follow at times, but most of the time it makes sense eventually. So I think when it comes to the story, this is probably the best one overall. So that's something. I also think that the character models and the mocap acting, the voice work, and just the production value. The only other one I would say is even close to as good would be Life is Strange 2. I think that one had really good, excellent production value. But among the Deck 9 games, because Don't Nod made 1 and 2, and I think those are the best ones. Well, I did. And then Deck 9 made Before the Storm, which I didn't really care for. True Colors, which I thought was flawed, but very good. And then they made this one, which is easily the best Deck 9 one, in my opinion. But I think it might be my favorite one of all of them, maybe. Because of the story, because of the technical level, Deck 9 did a really good job. There's a few little bugs and glitches, like some stuttering and stuff, but it wasn't that big of a deal. No crashes or anything major. The all the technical stuff with the lighting, the light, the graphics, the sound, the voice work, all that stuff was solid, very good, the best. And a lot of that's just the technology. You know, this is the newest one, and they just did a better job with it. But I feel like there's a real jump from True Colors. Like, they did a much better job with that kind of thing. Like, people's faces were much more expressive. True Colors wasn't bad at that, but I think this one's even better. And, you know, when it came to, like, the narrative branching choices, I did feel like this one had more agency. Like, it actually, like, some of my choices actually mattered a little bit more than, say, something like Life is Strange 2 or True Colors. But still not that much. These games aren't like, you know, like in the supermassive games, like the Dark Pictures games, like those kinds of narrative games, whole scenes are different depending on how the decisions that you make. Like, it completely changes everything eventually. But the Life is Strange games just don't do that. I feel like this one did a little bit more maybe than usual, but it was still pretty on rails. Like, you're still almost certainly going to be faced with the same final choice that you have in all of these games. I will say, on the note of that, without spoiling it, I don't think the final choice in this game mattered as much. Like, if you look at the final choice in the first Life is Strange game or Life is Strange 2, like, those were really important choices. Really important. This one kind of happened, kind of like True Colors, it kind of happened after the final conflict was already over, so it didn't seem like it mattered that much. But that's not a huge problem. The number one problem that I have with this game is that, like lots of other Life is Strange games, like especially like True Colors and well, I guess mostly like True Colors, the end is The end is weird, man. It doesn't, I mean, I guess it answers most of the questions, but it doesn't do it. I guess it's more satisfying than True Colors was. It's a little bit more satisfying. Like, it wraps up in a way that makes some sense, and it feels final. And it was satisfying to a degree, but I think these games have a problem with understanding how to end, with the exception of Life is Strange 2 and 1. But I think sometimes these games have a little bit of trouble sticking the landing, and I don't think this game quite did. Halfway through this game, I was like, man, I was mesmerized. I had all these theories about what this could possibly be, what's it going to end up being, and like some of the theories that I had were way cooler than what ended up being the truth, you know. And so I just don't think that they really found a way to wrap things up in a really satisfying way. The game just kind of ends, and we've seen that before with these games. It's not horrible, it doesn't ruin the story or anything, it's just, I think one chapter, this game has 5 chapters like all of them do. One chapter in, I was thinking, this is the most boring one yet. I didn't think it was that good at first. And maybe part of that is because I've just seen where the Life is Strange games go, and I'm like, all right, let's get to it. And this one was a little bit slower than some of them can be. And then the chapters 2, 3, and 4 I thought were incredible. They were awesome. I would say they were perfect. They were great. I loved chapters 2, 3, and 4. The story went in some wild directions, and I was really and totally invested. And then chapter 5, it kind of just stumbled together instead of really coming together in a super satisfying way. So chapter 5 was my second least favorite. Maybe my least favorite. No, 1 was really boring. So I didn't love the way this one began or ended, but what happened in the middle was good enough to redeem it. I just don't think I would have. There's only 2 of these games that I have really walked away from thinking, man, that was awesome. Like having that really satisfying ending, and that's Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange 2. I didn't feel that way with Before the Storm. I didn't feel that way with True Colors, and I didn't feel that way with Double Exposure. Although I think it was a little bit better. But those are the Deck 9 games. I just don't think they know how to end the games as well. Just wasn't as satisfying on that front. But I still did enjoy it, and I really appreciated getting to see more from the main character from Life is Strange. I wouldn't say that's a spoiler, that it's the same main character from the original game. I thought that was cool. I thought the way that the power worked in this game was cool. It was video gamey enough to hold my interest in that way, but it also complemented the story in a way that was compelling and interesting. So I thought that the power was cool. All in all, I'd say it's gonna be close. It might be my favorite. It might be my second favorite. It might even be my third favorite. I definitely liked it more than True Colors and Before the Storm. I think I liked it around as much as Life is Strange 1 or 2, which is a lot because those games are ranked high. So I may sound critical, but overall I loved this game. I thought it was very, very good. When you're so into a series like this, like I've been really into the series, it's easy for me to feel disappointed and kind of pick things apart a little bit. But overall, I mean, the game is still absolutely worth the $50. There's no doubt about it. So I did really enjoy it. All right. Last couple orders of business here. I don't know if my game totals thing is gonna work because it's looks like it's broken, but we've now beaten 96 games in 2024 and 543 since we started doing this in 2020. Let's go. Yeah, it doesn't have the 96 on there. It's cut off the letters, so just ignore it. I'll fix it later. All right. Last order of business. Life is Strange Double Exposure. It's been fun. Thank you. I really enjoyed it, but we are now going to delete you from our console and never play you again.